Oh, yeah. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast Live, Tuesday night college football edition. And I got a full house here with me. I got the whole crew, and I got these guys that I can trust to break it down and bring the heat on this college football show. I am so excited. Like, this is crazy. Like, I'm super excited about this. I got the dream team here to talk college football. What's good, fellas?
Good to be here, man.
Good,
Dream
yeah.
team? You got like half a dream team. Leave me out of this, bro.
I got the team here, boy. I got the team. Well, of course, y'all know I got the young fella Carlos. And Carlos, I love having him on here because he always brings things from an angle I totally did not consider. So I love that. I got my main guy, Ryan Langford, former Fighting Illini, former NFL and Canadian Football League wide receiver and kick return specialist. What's good, Ryan?
Hey, glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Always love to have you here. And of course, SMT Media Network, Sneed got what you need. What's good, Mr. Buckeye?
Man, that's a nice build-up, bro. You giving me too much, man. I'm spoiled over here.
Hey, man. Yo, love having you here. You know how we do, Sneed. So I'm super excited to talk college football. I'm really amped about this. So
I'm gonna tell you why you're amped, because the season's been amazing, and now it's all coming to the pinnacle of the season here.
Man, yeah, everything we want to see. On one hand, it's kind of sad. You want it to last a little longer, but still, we get into that
bowl games,
bowl
season, playoffs,
playoff. Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. So before we do what we normally do, let's go ahead and give a shout out to the channel members. Of course, Coach T, Be Ready Sports Podcast. What up, Coach T? Appreciate you always being here. Carlos, man, you know I got to ask you, in order to be ready, what we got to do, Carlos?
Stay ready.
Stay ready. In order to be ready, you got to stay ready. That's right. It's not that serious. What's good? It's not that serious. Appreciate you, whether you're live or whether you're catching on the replay. Always show love, always support. Thank you. Chief Sid Bubba, appreciate you. Appreciate everything you've done for this country and everything you do for our channel and our show. And it is so good to be able to throw that salute up and say shout out to you without having to hear that stupid song. Holmes. I love it. Baltimore Bruce was good, man. I don't want to hear no Roll Tide or none of that tonight. But I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. We talking college football. Got to give a shout out to my brother, Steve, king of the chat. Go Irish. What up, Steve? Man, always good to have you around. And I tell you what, Sneed, I don't know if you know this, man. During the Notre Dame games, Steve is always rage texting about Coach
I already know.
Brock, our OC. He hates Dan Brock and his play calling. He's always rage texting.
Steve is definitely like a student of the game.
He is. He sure is.
So he's hypercritical. He's fair, but he is critical.
Yes. Yeah. And so I love it, man. But what up, Steve, man? I appreciate you. Nino, what's good, Nino? I know you're more of a basketball guy, but you always support this channel, so thank you so much. Of course, Sneed got what you need right here. Not only supporting by being a channel member, but supporting by being a continual, regular contributor, and we love that because, he brings it like only he can. And finally, our guy Micah from New York City, all love 0307. What up, Micah? Not Micah Parsons, Micah from New York. So appreciate you, Micah. Appreciate you. Here we go. There's Steve in the chat. Mike Denbrock he's not quite as bad as you think, Steve. He does need a little work, but he's not that bad. Well, always good to see you, Steve, man. Thank you, brother. All right. You all know what time it is. We're going to do the spiel. Then we're going to get back and we are going to get right to it, dig into these college football topics. Let's go. If you're watching here on YouTube, make sure you go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast. We should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us a like, leave us a 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. Make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, make a note of it. The Format Podcast is live Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. And finally, if you're really and truly enjoying the content we're delivering you, make sure you hit that join button. There's going to be exclusive content here just for you. You. Yeah, you. I can't do it like Transformer, but you.
This goes out to you. This goes out to you.
Iggy. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, my goodness. Carlos is like, huh? What is it? All right, it's all good. Let me just give me 1 second. I'm getting a graphic of the updated top 25 so that I can throw that.
By the way, Bruce.
Yes, sir.
Games for this week, college football start Friday.
Yeah, they do.
So,
I think the Egg Bowl's on Friday.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's what, Utah, Ole Miss.
Okay.
The game is Georgia and Georgia Tech. That's the game.
That's huge.
And then the Aggies going to the Longhorns. That's a game too.
Mm-hmm.
Those are probably. I think those are the marquee Friday games. Those two.
For sure. And we will get to that. But let's go ahead, guys, and let's kick it off. Obviously, you see by the rundown here, we're going to start with the college football poll, and the new top 25 has just been released. So we've got
in the mornings or the afternoon. They drop those. Do they drop those in the morning or the afternoon?
Just dropped it like 15 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. So
in the evening. Yeah, it's a little TV show. So here we go. I just cut that from the CFP website. And all right. So I don't know why they did it like horizontally. That way. Yeah. But anyway, because I'm looking at it, I'm like, Ohio State, Ole Miss is number 2. What?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. So
Illinois 5.
I know, right? what we kind of like to do is we Illinois 5. We go backwards from 25. So Arizona State, Tulane. Tulane is, I think, the first early standout in this top 25 in basically being the top group of 5 program. Matter of fact, they appear to be the only group of 5 program in the top 25 of the college football playoff, which means that if things stay status quo as they are, there'll be a group of it's a group of 5, group of 6, right? I think they're the group of 6 representative in the college football playoff. So that's what we're going to have. Still got room for, I would have thought it would have been James Madison in North Texas, but the committee clearly knows better than I do. So we've got some interesting stuff going on, but Tulane is the first one. And what was the, I got to check, but I saw what I thought could be an interesting matchup in round 1 with Tulane. Not totally absurd. Let's see. Houston at number 23. Say again.
Tulane and Texas Tech.
Yep, that's the one.
First round.
Texas Tech is really good, but Tulane's better than people think. Interesting. So. Green Wave.
I agree.
So we got Mizzou at number 22. Do they play Kansas this week? Is that or is it Kansas State this week? That's probably what that is. We'll pull up the schedules later. But Ryan, you're fighting Illini at number 21. Who's your guys' rival, Ryan?
I used to think it was Indiana while I was there. And then Beckman came in and really tried to push Northwestern just because they're in the same state as us. Okay. So then we kind of said Northwestern was kind of our rival because we're in between.
Okay.
Or they're, fairly close to us. But I would say now they're probably saying Northwestern is.
Okay.
But while I was there, I feel like Indiana was a pretty big rival for us when we were going.
Got you. Okay. Number 20, you got Vandy. This is interesting. Vandy's got a big, not Vandy. I'm sorry, Tennessee. Tennessee's got a big game against Vandy this week. That should be, I think it's at Tennessee. That should be very interesting. Number 19, Virginia. Virginia still has an opportunity to get into the ACC title game, which they mess around and win that. Then as a Power 4 conference winner, automatic the 12-team playoff berth, right? This is so we're getting down to it, brass tacks, and it starts getting funny. Michigan. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have last week's.
Yeah.
This is November 18th. I'm looking at last week's. I apologize, everybody. Let's see. Sneed, you got
I got you.
one?
I got you.
Cool. Yeah, let's see that, and then I'll just go ahead and we'll share screen. My bad, y'all. My bad.
Not as fancy as yours, but we out here.
No doubt. I'll take it. Pause. We'll do that. And yeah, let's get this out of here. There we go. Okay. So correction. Michigan is number 15. This has got to be last week's.
What?
Yeah, we just saw Michigan at number 15.
Is this not updated?
I guess not.
It might not yet.
All right, let's do this then. Let's do it this way.
Okay.
Or go to
Michigan is 16, aren't they?
They're 15.
There should be 15. That's what we saw on the TV show just now. Anybody watching? My bad, y'all. We should have been.
Wait, this is bad. This is bad too. Hold on, bro. 1
Yeah,
hour.
right?
Okay, 1 hour ago.
That basketball game messed us up.
Yeah, because it was supposed to
It
start at
pushed
7.
everything back. The show was 5 minutes long.
Mhm.
All right, let's start in the back end. All right.
Pause.
Jeez, bro.
There you go.
All right, is this right? Is this the back 5?
Yes.
Yes, that's what it looks like. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we got
The Athletics.
Arizona kind of on the book end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Tulane, Georgia Tech, Pitt, and SMU.
Yeah, Pitt is hosting Miami this week, so that may very well put an end to all this foolishness with Miami and Notre Dame. I will be rooting for the Panthers. I'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next 5. Arizona State, Tennessee, Virginia, USC, and then Texas. For those teams, most notably, I think it's Texas and USC because of the name notoriety. But honestly, Texas is not impressive.
Didn't USC just get beat by Oregon? They should.
And then USC has a recent loss. So, you know, we're in the mixed bag of recent performances with these teams.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
But Texas could mess this whole thing. Well, they could cause a little bit of trouble and beat the currently undefeated A&M this week.
If they're doing it, they're just making the water muddy. They ain't about that life, bro.
Right.
They are not. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Steve was right. Just thought I'd throw that out there. All right, Michigan 15, Vandy, Utah, Miami, BYU. Now you're getting into some what I believe could be legitimate playoff teams that can make some noise.
Are we sure?
Right?
Yeah,
Michigan 15,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan, yeah. So Vandy has a very, very tiny shot of getting in. Yeah. But if they beat Tennessee at Tennessee this week, that's a good ranked win for them. And they'll be 10-2 for the first time ever. Program history.
They could do it this week.
By the way, shout out Vandy. Shout out Clark Lee, former Notre Dame defensive coordinator. Just want to throw that out there. Go Irish. But no, he's also Vandy alum. So, yeah, shout out to Clark Lee. He's done a heck of a job at Vandy in the SEC. That's very impressive.
All right. Doing all right, so this is 10-6. All right. Big names here.
Correct.
Bama.
Yeah.
And Bruce, we're going to give each other flowers right now, right?
Okay.
Notre Dame in the top 10. All they did since we mentioned it was win all their games, and here they are.
Yes. Yes.
All they had to do. We know the name. We know the game. Keep winning. You'll find yourself in the playoff. Here they are.
There you go. Yeah. And I tell you what, if this sticks, you'll have an 8-9 matchup in the opener, Notre Dame at Oklahoma, 2 of the best defenses in the country. But guess what? Notre Dame wins that game because Oklahoma's offense is suspect. They can't run it. And John Mateer is real iffy, and he might throw Notre Dame a couple, and they have one of the better secondaries in the country. That should be very interesting. But
possible.
Oklahoma also has one of the most elite defenses in the country. So, you know, they're going to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. But at the same time, if they're bringing a lot of guys up the field to get at the quarterback, then, you know, you got a lot of delays and draws and those type of things. Or, as Ryan knows well, quick game, right? Get the ball in the hands of your playmakers on the outside. So,
hey, Bruce, did Oregon and Ole Miss slide?
I don't know how Oregon would have slid. Excuse me. They just finished beating.
They were ranked higher last week, weren't they?
No,
I think Oregon was like number 7 last week.
Oh, okay.
So and Ole Miss didn't play this week, so that would explain the swap. So
Okay.
Oregon gets a ranked win over USC, move up a spot. USC wasn't high enough for that ranked win to carry a whole ton of weight, but it was still a solid win at home. And yeah, Ole Miss was on a bye.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there you go. Thank you, Steve.
All right, and this rounds out your top 5. You got your Texas Tech,
Really good
Georgia
team.
Bulldogs, the Aggies from Texas A&M, Indiana, Ohio State rounding out the top.
Yeah.
Basically kind of what it's been for a couple weeks.
Yeah. And I'm just so you want to see the chaos because the chaos is fun, but at the same time you're like, okay, do you want to completely mess up the apple cart? Do you want to add even more 10-2 teams into the mix there at the in that last pod area of the rankings as they are, and really make things extra muddy? You know, do you want to make the committee earn their money? I don't know, man. I don't know. I just wish we knew what it was specifically they take into account. That's all. I'm gonna say that.
I think part of what they see is how dominant Indiana's looked, and then they look at the programs at Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Georgia, and they're like, these are clearly some of the better teams in the country. We got to rank them high. So it doesn't really matter always just the record. That is the record is sometimes a key factor for why they put a team, but also you could have a team that's got 3 losses, but they were the good teams and they play in a tough conference. You kind of, it validates them. Like, okay, so their record is 3 losses. So what? They could still beat any team any given Saturday.
Right.
You know, so you rank them high and you put them in a good spot to be in the playoff.
For sure. Ryan, man, what are your thoughts on some of this, man? Are there any teams you think are in funny spots? What are you looking for going forward here?
Well, I'm just still very impressed with Indiana specifically.
Yeah.
Just how they turn things around. Ohio State to be as dominant as they have been, I think is really impressive. Like I said earlier, I don't think we're on the air, but if they lose to Michigan, they're still the best team in the country in my mind.
Yeah.
Like Ohio State is still the best team, hands down, all phases of the ball, dominating. But it'd be interesting to see kind of what moves. But as far as these top 5 teams, I think that they're pretty solidified. Texas Tech is scary too. Like they're a solid football team.
Very.
They play with a lot of speed, a lot of confidence. So I like to see how they turn out once the playoffs get going, because
But I feel like they've only been tested once this year.
Right. Yeah, that is true. But true.
They're handling their business, so like we can't be mad at that either.
So
yeah,
we'll see. It's those borderline teams too that I'm interested to see how those shakes up. Who really makes it in? Who is going to be the last team to make it in?
You're talking about the 11 to 15 range,
11 to 15, and even at 10. You know, Alabama at 10, like that's right on that bubble of, all right, got to handle Auburn this week, and then we need other people to not do what they need to be doing. You know, because there is a chance that they might not make it in. So
I wouldn't mind that, Ryan. I got to tell you.
I know you wouldn't. You would probably y'all would be in. And I think a lot of the country as well would be.
Oh, we sick of y'all, man.
They are.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm curious to see. I want to see the Hurricanes in there. Just me personally, like ultimately I want Illinois to be in there, but we did what we did and didn't handle our business. But always been a Miami Hurricane fan, and if they kind of get snubbed or it comes down to a strength of schedule political thing, that we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no doubt. Before I let Carlos go, I'll just say with Miami, I'm absolutely rooting for Pitt this weekend. Let's go Narduzzi, because I just want to put an end to this, because I totally get anybody who's upset when it comes to the Miami Notre Dame thing, because the head-to-head really does have to matter. However, when you start looking at stuff like Notre Dame losing to 2 of the better teams, ranked teams in the country, 2 top 5 teams in the country at the time by a total of 4 points, Miami getting beat twice by 2 unranked teams, common opponents, Notre Dame destroying them, Miami playing well but not to the same level. It's like everything except the head-to-head kind of leans in Notre Dame's favor. So it's like at that point, and again, let me say, be objective. I totally get anybody who complains and thinks Miami should be ahead of Notre Dame, and I won't push back against that. The only thing I'm saying is if like everything leans in Notre Dame's favor, should that one head-to-head be enough to tilt it?
What's
You know what I mean?
Bruce, what's the difference between Notre Dame and Miami right now? This is what, week 14? Like, what are we talking here? What's the difference between these two teams?
Notre Dame's a more complete team. They're playing better defense right now. They're more explosive on offense.
So I'm not going to argue. I can't push back. Ryan, do you see otherwise?
No, I think they're a great team. I think where it gets tough is when it comes down to the playoff spots, and then they look at strength of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But then tonight they talk about that. Well, strength of schedule doesn't mean everything. Sometimes it's the eye test. So then that's where it gets even more muddy, because it's like, all right, well, here's a team that, you know, the eye test can be passed if you're not playing great teams. So it's kind of going against each other. So that's why I like doing what we talked about Notre Dame has done. Won their games.
And we'll definitely,
and if you were playing poorly the first 2 or 3 weeks, that means very little right now. Right? If you just ripped off 8 in a row.
Yeah, you round into
you 4. See what I'm so and if you're dominant, if you're winning, wasn't there like a 70-7 victory in there somewhere?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And weren't there a couple of, there was a ranked opponent win in there somewhere?
Yes, sir, a couple.
Okay, and the running game looks pretty phenomenal. Quarterback defense looks like it figured things out after the first month. So here we are talking about a team that looks like they have figured things out. They know who they are, and they've been wiping the floor with everybody that they play. Don't you want to see that team in the playoff?
Yeah.
So if they're deserving, and I'm not saying that they aren't deserving, but I know when it comes down to getting clarity on what requirements get you in the playoffs, that's where things aren't clear.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that next topic. We'll talk about that.
You can get clear, but from a player's perspective, as we said in the beginning, the best way to make it in the playoffs, win your games, one at a time, handle what you got to handle, and dominate teams, and leave it up to what our performance on the field looks like over political stuff about where things are at, and we're waiting on this team to lose, waiting on this team to win, all that kind of stuff.
Right. Carlos, go ahead. Give us your thoughts, man. I know you've been waiting to get in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. Miami at 12, and I think that's an appropriate spot for Miami, because right now, Miami at 12, they're I believe the second team looking in, I believe, technically, because Miami, they have a tough path to the ACC championship. I'm just saying that. So I feel like, Miami needs a win, and then, rely on others to lose. But the reason why Miami's below Notre Dame is because of their losses mid-year. Because when Miami had their first loss, they were the number 2 team in the country to Louisville. Lost. They dropped all the way down to 9. Then they beat Stanford. They dropped 1 spot. They were number 10 when they played SMU. Then they lost. And then when the first rankings came out, they dropped all the way down to 18. And then now they're like climbing up. So they're at 12. So I think that's a necessary spot for Miami, and I believe Miami should be over Utah. But Vanderbilt, staying at 14 for like 2 weeks in a row, I guess it's all right for Vandy. Vandy's got to win at least. Vandy's got to beat Tennessee, and then hope for teams ahead of them. But me and Coach Tony had a debate on this between Miami during our podcast on, I believe it was Sunday, why Miami should or shouldn't be in the playoff, and I had the take of Miami shouldn't be in the playoff, but and I think after looking at it, I feel like if it comes down to the final spot between Miami and Notre Dame, for that final spot, I think me and Coach Tony agreed that Miami should have that final spot, because head to head. That's
right. And we will talk about it more. I'm just like, again, I can't push back against that, because head to head does have to matter. But when one team has more of the things leaning in their favor, like, is that one head-to-head enough to outweigh everything else? So I guess that's more of a question. But yeah, that's good stuff.
Also when they played, week 2, week 1, if the head-to-head, means a little bit less than if they played week 9.
Yeah.
Week 11.
I think if we played Miami right now, we'd beat them by double figures. I do. Not we, like Notre Dame. Not
Notre Dame, yeah.
No, I mean, and that's, we'll get to it, because we're definitely going to have that, most deserving versus best discussion, which seems to come up every year. Must be nice to be a Buckeye fan, huh, Sneed? You don't have to worry about this stuff.
Chilling, man. Chilling.
Still at number one.
I've been Michigan's been on my mind since week.
I was about to say, yeah, you're chilling until noon on Saturday.
Yeah, literally week 1, I didn't think about Michigan because it was the first game of the year, and then week 2, I'm just like, Michigan, November.
right. For sure. And boy, it's going to be interesting. So I guess in that game, and we'll get to that as well, a big key is going to be whether or not Tate and Smith both play or what level they're at when they do play.
Any news? Any updates?
No, I looked it up right before we started the show.
It's been a couple of weeks, bro.
Coach Day has them listed as day-to-day. Jeremiah Smith says he feels good, and both of them are going to try to do the best they can to play, but who knows what it is. We'll see. I think you need them to beat Michigan. That's my thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and we will open the phone lines up, take a couple quick calls on this, and then we'll get to the next topic. So that's 904-219-8264. 904-219-8264. Call in, give us your thoughts on here we go. Give us you guys' thoughts on the most recent college football playoff top 25 and kind of where guys are. And it's so funny, like there's a lot going on, but Notre Dame seems to have Notre Dame and Miami, I should say, seem to have kind of really hijacked this thing every week. And obviously a big part of that is that head-to-head we talked about. Steve, what's going on, King of the Chat?
So much, Bruce. What up, fellas?
Steve, what up?
What up?
Yo.
All right, I'm not going to take up too much time. I don't have any gripe with how the seeding is. This is where I honestly feel if there is a robbery, it's Miami being behind BYU and Utah. I understand Miami has 2 losses, but I give them a little bit more credibility with the wins they had early in the season. Versus the body of work of like a Utah or BYU. I think Miami's resume is more impressive. So they should, I think if, I understand because of the head-to-head of Notre Dame, that draws the attention, like how is Miami and Notre Dame with the same record, Miami's behind them. I don't understand why the argument isn't with some of these Big 12 teams, where I get where Texas Tech is. It makes sense. But as far as I'm concerned, I think a bigger gripe is like, why is Miami behind BYU and Utah? Because we have no problem with Virginia with the one loss being as far down as they are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, why do we give the second, third team in the Big 12 a little bit more of a boost when I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I don't think either one of them have a ranked win against an opponent. I'm not 100%, so my fact check. But I think Miami's gripe is fair with the Notre Dame, but I also feel like it's not just Notre Dame. I think Miami has a gripe with Utah and BYU also being ahead of them. I just wonder what you guys thought.
No, those are great questions. So this is the little bit of conspiracy theory thing. I heard Joel Klatt say on his podcast, he said this earlier this week, that part of the reason you're seeing these teams in between Notre Dame and Miami is to give Notre Dame that buffer so that Miami is in a separate pod and the committee is avoiding trying to deal with that head-to-head situation. Now, it may come out that they have to do it, but as of right now, they don't want to deal with it, and that's why the committee's got these teams in there to function as a buffer. Thoughts on that?
I mean, that's possible. Now, I'm not saying it's not the case, and I do think I agree to a point. They don't want Miami and Notre Dame close because they don't want to deal with that. But, like, honestly, even as a Notre Dame fan, like, if Miami were ranked ahead of Utah and BYU, I would have no problem with Miami being 9 and us 10. I think they earned it.
Yeah.
That's how I would look at it. I think a lot of this has to do with the conference championship nonsense, where I'm over conference championship. And of course I have that, I guess that liberty of saying that as a Notre Dame fan when we don't deal with a conference championship, but it means nothing. It's pointless. And it's like we all know Miami is the best team in the ACC. Their 2 losses happen to be in conference. You have Virginia with a conference loss that doesn't count against them because they played, I think it was like NC State or somebody really early, even though it was a conference game, it didn't go against their conference record. So it's like, I think that's more of the issue where it's like you have this weird situation in the ACC where you're probably going to have 2 teams playing for the ACC championship that aren't the best team in the ACC when everybody can clearly see. So this is where I would ask the committee. It's like, are we going by eye test? Because you tell me eye test now matters. And all of our eye test tells us Miami is better than Georgia Tech. They're better than Pitt. They're better than Virginia. They're better than Louisville. Now, the one gripe would be SMU because SMU still in contention to get into the ACC, and they beat Miami. But I think when it comes down to it, I would say right now the 2 best teams in the ACC are SMU and Miami, in my opinion. But we have this weird situation where Miami's 2 losses happen to be. To be honest with you, Miami would have been better off going 10-2, losing to us, and winning a second ACC game instead of losing a second ACC. They would be in a better situation in that scenario. How things kind of worked out. But I don't know. I think a lot of this, that could be the case, Joe Klatt's conspiracy, but I think a lot of this has to do with these automatic conference championships being affiliated with getting into the playoff, where we all clearly know Miami is probably the most talented, best team in the ACC, but right now I don't think they're going to be playing in the ACC.
Yeah, and I believe they're going to be doing away. I believe they're going to be doing away with those in the next iteration whenever the expansion happens and all that, the automatic bids. So that should be a good thing.
Because all it is now is it's become a liability. Because, okay, say you're playing in the Big Ten championship and you lose a star player. Like, I would hate to see at Ohio State, like, okay, Jeremiah Smith plays against Indiana. They play against Michigan. They get to the Big Ten championship, and maybe he's, banged up, and he gets seriously hurt in that Big Ten championship, where it's like, it really doesn't matter. Like, this conference championship, now that they've expanded this to 12 teams, conference championships really don't matter. Well, I guess, like, if you're a traditionalist, like, you could make that argument.
They don't matter to the big profile team. Like a team like Ohio State. Like, that's unique to them. But the second best team in the ACC needs to beat the best team in the ACC in order to get a bid.
Right, for a conference that's not the SEC or the Big Ten. Because I think we know, like, the second best team, like, hypothetically, Indiana and Ohio State both win this week. They play in the Big Ten championship. The loser's still getting in. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I make that same argument for, like, the SEC.
But next year, that likely is not the case, because what's the chances Indiana is going to be number 2 next year?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. In next year's scenario, yeah. But the point stands as far as, like, the Big Ten representative in the conference championship. You typically, even the second best team in the Big Ten, whichever year, they lose in the Big Ten chip, there's still odds are they're going to be one of the 12.
You know what I'm seeing, Steve? I'm seeing what the committee's doing. They're looking at every team's situation and circumstance. So they there's the cookie cutter thing to do, which is we're going to look at the record, we're going to look at strength of schedule, like the stuff that you can quantitatively explain. But they're also doing some qualitative things by talking about eye test. And I think there's also the politics to it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, the college playoff is better with storylines. So some of that's in there too.
Yes. Absolutely. Steve, I'm going to let you go, man. I appreciate the call, brother.
Yes, sir. Stay blessed, fellas.
Thanks, you too.
Yep.
Why the hell wouldn't they want Indiana in the playoff?
Yeah, absolutely. Indiana. Also, again, I know I'm biased, but the Notre Dame is always a juicy storyline, especially they were 0-2. Fight all the way back, played in the national title game last year.
Those announcers and those games would be gushing all over all of that, bro.
Yeah.
Like, look at this team. This Notre Dame, they are the Fighting Irish. Yeah.
Right. Marcus Freeman's really imprinted his DNA on this team. Oh, pause.
And then they'll flash to him. He'll be like throwing his fist in the air and the crowd's going crazy. Yeah. Production, bro.
For sure. No, storylines matter. In journalism, storylines matter. Finian 2316, what's up, man? I haven't seen you here before. You make a great point. He says Miami lost to 5-loss Louisville and 3-loss SMU. It's always been the same in college football. If you're going to lose early, and Notre Dame is simply looking very good. And that's true.
Yeah.
I don't have to say anything else. That's true.
I've seen Ohio State do that before.
Yeah.
Where they lost early, a bad loss.
Mm-hmm.
They lost, but like ran the table, and it's like they were ranked number 3 at the end of the year. Like, didn't even
either
matter.
that, or you're so dominant throughout the year that even if you lose, it doesn't kill you, a la Ohio State last year, and then you make your run. So,
bro, we were talking like this was when Alabama was always number 1. It was those years. It was when LSU was always top team. Bama, like the SEC was like the SEC.
Yeah.
And Ohio State just had that early loss, and it knocked them back to like 9th or something, or 11th. And every week they just went up one spot till they ended up in the top 3.
No doubt. All right. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Way to open up the show. All right. Let's go to the next topic. And this one is we were kind of leading into it with a lot of the different commentary we were giving. This is about something that we hear year in, year out, pretty much since the 4-team playoff was instituted in 2014, right? When Ohio State won the inaugural. Damn Buckeyes. No, but listen, Steve, I give you crap about the Buckeyes, but man, if it's not Notre Dame, I have no problem with the Buckeyes. I've said it time and time again because they're one of those teams up north that can stand up to the SEC. Deal with them on power, deal with them on speed, and I'm okay with all of that. So if it's not the Irish, let's go Buckeyes.
You would know this saying. It's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Listen, if Notre Dame goes out, I'll dress up like Brutus the Buckeye.
You remember you remember when it was the Cavs versus the Mavs back in 2011?
Oh yeah.
Everybody, it was the Dallas Cavaliers, bro. It was because like LeBron left and all that. Everybody was at the bars rooting against LeBron and all this.
Yeah.
How it goes in sports, man.
Yeah, absolutely. If your team can't get it done, whoever is beating, the team you hate. So yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so we hear this argument, this question, however you want to frame it, every year of the most deserving teams, which we talked about, like resume, strength of schedule, all of that stuff, versus the best, the teams that you look at and say, this team is playing fantastic ball right now. This is a team that we think can really make some noise in the playoff, a team that has a legit opportunity to go into the tournament and maybe win the thing, right? And I think it's a very difficult juggling act to deal with. And so I wanted to start with Carlos on this in terms of, again, we hear this every year. First, Carlos, I think I would like to know which one is most important to you. Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe the committee says that they're looking for the 12 best teams. But to me, it's so difficult to kind of separate the two. I don't know how you do that because some of the criteria you utilize to identify the best also falls right into the most deserving. So I'm gonna stop talking now. Carlos, what do you think about this argument, this debate, most deserving versus best? Which is more important to you, and how do you kind of separate them, or how do you weigh them out?
I think it's most important to pick the 12 best teams. And the goal every year, well, from now until, the end of time, is to pick the 12 best teams. Well, there is a format, there is a criteria where there's 5 conference champions, 7 at large, including the group of 5. So if they're going to pick the best teams in the playoff, I don't think the group of 5 should get involved at all, because if I'm not mistaken, the highest group of 5 team is Tulane at number 24. Like, if we're thinking the top 12 teams, Tulane should not be nowhere near the playoff if that's the case. But there has been years where a team like Cincinnati made the 14 playoff.
Yeah,
most deserving.
UCF should have made it. In 2017 when they were undefeated.
Well, and at least UCF got that national champion by the NCAA.
There you go. Right.
They're Disney World national champion. But Florida State in 2023. We didn't get in. Obviously, in the last year, the playoff, they chose Alabama, the 4 best teams, and then and then that playoff happened. But I think the goal is to pick the 12 best teams. 12 best teams. But the committee, they got to pick the best teams. according to that criteria, the 5 conference champions, and then you got to pick for the at-large the best 7 at-large teams. So I think it's important to pick 12 best teams. I think. Yeah.
I guess the question is, so one, just pushing back a little bit. I totally disagree with you saying that the group of 5, or I think they're group of 6 now, but that lower tier of FBS teams should be left out. I get what you're saying in terms of the best, but you're telling an entire, 6 conferences that no matter what they do, they don't get the opportunity to play for the chip. Now, it's highly unlikely that they would win one, but let me bounce right back to the team I just mentioned, that 2017 UCF team. It is my firm belief the only team in the country that year that would have beat them was Alabama, but they never got a chance to prove it on the field. If we remember, they beat Auburn in the Peach Bowl. Auburn that year beat Alabama and Georgia in back-to-back weeks in the mighty, mighty SEC. And then UCF went and beat them. Like, UCF that year was so good. And I really feel they could have stood up to Bama. They would have lost, right? Yeah. But they could have stood up to Alabama. That's the only team in the country, I feel, that would have beaten them that year. And so I say to say, not saying that that's a regular occurrence. You get a group of 16 that's that good. But I think the whole point for me is you can't tell all these schools like you're playing for nothing, or you're playing for the not Tostitos, that's the Fiesta Bowl, but, the Cheez-Its or the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Like, it's cool to play in a bowl game. No disrespect to you, Ryan. I know you played in some of those lower level bowl games, but the point is, it is cool to play in those things, but you can't tell these schools that all the literal blood, sweat, tears, injury, all the sprints they run, all the weights they lift are for nothing, because they'll never get a chance no matter how good they are.
And
like,
Bruce,
I'm cool with that.
Don't forget, every team is trying to build precedence. They're also boosting the team for the following season. Like, here's what we did this year. We come back better next year. We know we belong. And nobody's forgetting. Everybody knows what Indiana's doing now. Yeah. Because of what they did last year. Like, this is not random. They've been building this, right? And then next year, they're going to look to be back in that discussion too. These teams carry over their momentum. Absolutely. Especially a program that is not known historically as having the cachet for football. So when I'm looking at some of these teams that are in the top 20, but they're not typically in the top 20, there's some of those teams. They'd like to crack the playoffs soon. Sure. Maybe next year. Yeah. So everybody's trying to make noise. Right. And get to that next big game to get to the bigger game. Right. Even if it means they're going to lose, they still want to get there and put on a show. Exactly. And let people know we're on the map, yo. We're here. Yes. I'm with you. Ryan, man, what are your thoughts on that?
It's tough. I'm glad that they have the playoff system, honestly, and the solution might be having more teams, which is, I think that's what they're investigating, because I'm big on, what have you done? Are you winning games? Who did you play? How did those games look? And I think that's what the committee's trying to work with. But like you said, they're always looking at it from that team's perspective. There's not always like a universal view, or that's how at least I received it. So I think if there was maybe more teams, maybe more than 12 teams, because of that, the way that conferences align, how they're going to be able to quantify who are the truly, truly best teams. Because, in a perfect world, you want to say, let's have the best teams only in the playoffs. Right. But then it's those times that's like, man, like, I would really love to see this great team who's playing great football this year have a shot to go against these teams who are the best. Yes. So how do you kind of figure out what that is? And maybe it is expanding from 12 to having just a little bit more teams, get a little bit.
So check this out, right? So there was a time where there was no playoff. Right. There was a time where they just like bowl games and that was it. And then they did a 4-team. That wasn't good enough because 5th was pissed. Right. And then they expanded the playoff, and now there's teams on the outside like they're going to be pissed. This is always going to be like this. Yeah, it's always going to be like this. If they make it 100, team 101 is going to tell everybody to go to hell. I already know. I should have got it. It's always going to be a thing as long as there's a specific number and the other teams objectively feel like they belong. Right, everything's subjective anyways, but they'll say, "Hey, we belong. This is where we are."
No, absolutely. I think it's I just think it is cool, and it's just like I said, frustrating that you're gonna tell 6 full conferences that no matter what you do, you're not going to be good enough to have an opportunity to play. So it's like you're telling them that they're wasting their time, and I really don't appreciate that. But let's look at a little bit of the most deserving and best, right? Because it's really weird. It's almost like a Venn diagram. You've got some of the stuff on one side, some of the stuff on the other, then you've got some overlap, right? So most deserving kind of focuses on the resume of the team and the body of work. Stuff like wins and losses, strength of schedule, conference championship, all these things, right? So you've done all that throughout the season. You've earned your spot into the playoffs. Then you have the best teams, right? And that's a focus on the current power ranking, and then potential, if you put them in the tournament, what they can do and how they're playing right this minute, right? And some of that criteria is like the eye test, right? Like we talk about, for instance, go back to the Irish, winning 70-7 and not just running it up on somebody, but doing that within game flow, having a 21-0 lead before your offense ever takes a snap because you have a blocked punt and a return and you have 2 pick sixes, like stuff like that. That's eye test. That's dominant. That's not, we're throwing it all over the yard on an overmatched team to try and run it up. That's a little different, right? That's showing your dominance in all areas of the game, right? And then it's okay. Are those the 12 teams most capable of winning a championship? So you've got most deserving on one side and best on the other. But then in the middle, right, kind of in that crossover area, the wins and losses and what have you done this season kind of also shows best, right? Because if you're Ohio State and you've dominated all year long and you've been beating everyone and locking everyone up and making it look easy, you're most deserving and you're the best, right? So it is a very interesting thing in kind of how they frame that. And I don't know how they separate it because the committee themselves, they do say that we want the 12 best teams, not the 12 most deserving. And that whole most deserving piece is what they used to hold out on Florida State a couple of years ago, right?
They will always be able to hide behind their shield if they say we're picking the 12 best teams.
Okay.
They will always be able to hide behind that because then
we looked at them and we thought this team was the best. Okay. Yeah, great call.
We the committee.
We the committee, right?
And then they're like, well, who exactly are y'all? Just this is what we decided.
Yeah, for sure. No. And you know what? With that as well, I don't even know that there's a specific criteria to be a member of the committee. That, like, there should be.
Bro, wasn't Condoleezza Rice in there?
She was.
She was Secretary of Defense or something? State?
Secretary of State.
Yeah.
No, she's a big Stanford alum and donor.
And she's obviously very smart. I mean, you want aptitude and intelligence. So, like,
but like that doesn't mean that she necessarily knows football well enough to be on the committee.
Follows everybody's game, and is because I feel like that comes into when I think the committee is analyzing football on this huge Excel spreadsheet, breaking teams down. Like, all right, that's what the thought process of was like. Hey, this is the committee
watching games, Ryan.
Yeah, like you guys are like, okay, we're breaking this down. We're watching film back. Like, okay, yep, that works. Yeah, that works. So,
or they want you to think that. I was listening to another college football podcast, and they were playing the conspiracy theory thing, saying that. Because if you look at it, the AP top 25 and the CFP top 25, for the most part, mirror one another. Not perfectly, but for the most part. So this podcast was saying, like, they believe that they pretty much just follow the AP top 25. If something's a little different, fine. But that way they can avoid having to watch every game like that. And I'm like, that's crazy.
You know what else they probably do is they could probably run the simulations on matchups as they're currently constructed based on their offense and defense, where their ratings are. Yeah. And, with large language models and all these artificial intelligence tools.
How about they're in a room playing freaking NCAA
26?
Oh, my gosh. You never know.
You never know. I mean, I would. That's what I would do. Oh, we got 2 hours to figure this out. That means 1.5 hours of 2K.
Playing the game.
NCAA.
Yes, play the game.
So here's a question. What happens if the committee sees a team that maybe is 9-3, right? 3-loss team, but they're looking at them and saying, man, this team is playing their butt off. They're loaded with talent. They had some slip-ups. We truly believe they're one of the 12 best teams in the country. Now, how do you reconcile that, and how do you sell that if you believe that? Or do you even put them in, or do you say, well, there's never been a 3-loss team in the 12-team playoff. We can't do it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's really all this stuff starts getting iffy again because there's no standardized criteria that we know of.
I just think it would be hard to justify putting in the 12th team if they've got 3 losses and there's other great teams that only got 2 losses.
Agreed.
You know, like those games, those 3 losses have to be nail biters, like losing on Hail Marys against teams that are way ranked higher than you. Like, okay, y'all played them to the end. Y'all had a chance to win. You know, that kind of thing. If they're going to weigh them like that, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's my question. Like, how at that point do you sell it to say, well, this is one of the 12 best teams? I just don't know.
I think you aren't considered one of the best.
Yeah.
Because you got 3 losses for that year.
Right. Carlos, what you got, man?
Yeah, for sure. You know, definitely if that team's going to get in, that 3-loss team in the playoff, definitely those losses got to be, you know, nail biters, you know, Hail Marys,
something.
Just like you said, Ryan or Bruce. Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be really hard, you know, definitely. But who are those losses against? Like are the losses against like higher up teams, or are those losses against lower teams? But if the losses are against higher teams, then you might make an argument. But it's gonna be really hard if you're gonna pick the 12 best teams. It's gonna be hard, like really hard, to put a 3-loss team at that 12 spot. Like it's gonna.
But Carlos, what if that team beats the conference, the conference's best team all year, beats them by 14,
right,
on the road, and has been averaging 44 points a game for the last 2 months,
right?
Then you're like, wait a minute, hold on, I want to keep this team out,
because they lost early, like
even if they had a couple of bad losses,
even
if they had an unranked team loss, like I can think of examples, and this is probably why the criteria is not public and probably doesn't exist.
Yeah. What are the other 11 teams doing? How did their season look? Because I think that comes into play too.
In a perfect world, they're putting in the teams that all have 1 loss, no loss, 2 loss.
Yeah.
But then the things get messy, right?
Right.
Oh yeah.
When there's more losses, when good teams with extra loss.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Would be very messy, you know, 3-loss team. If that 3-loss team beats, you know, they're the top team in the conference, then, you know, it's going to get really messy. But, you know, I don't know, how would you leave them out? Like, how?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be like hard to imagine.
I think this is where they say, and this is why they say that college football has, you know, the most important regular season of all our major sports in this country. Because at the end of the day, if you just ball out and play every game like it's that important, all of this becomes a moot point. Now,
NFL used to have a very meaningful regular season.
Yeah. Can we realistically do that? No. Especially, number one, you're dealing with young men. They always talk about it, 18 to 22 years old, right? Obviously, you got some older and some a little younger, but, you know, people who aren't fully formed mentally yet. So it's very hard to keep that level of discipline and that level of focus week in, week out for an entire season, right? Look, it's that hard to do with grown men in the NFL, right? So furthermore, you know, on the collegiate level. So I get what they're saying, but there's got to be a better way to do this. And again, like, I'm one of those people that cries for standardization. That's just how I am. Part of that, I'm sure, is, you know, having been in the military and whatnot, where no matter where you go in the world, like, the rules are the rules and they are what they are. If you're a soldier in the Army, then the Army rules are the Army rules. But the point is, because you have these different conferences with different rules and different things going on, it's very hard to standardize it across all of college football, right? You can only do it to a point. So until they get everything on the same board, and it's like, okay, every conference plays a set amount of conference games, blah, blah, blah. And then you come up with something for Notre Dame to kind of, you know, keep them relatively in line with the conferences. And then, you know, you put all these things in place so that you can standardize, which, again, that's very difficult. I don't know how we're ever going to get past this. But at the same time, as I always say, discussions like these are what they want because they know people are watching. They know people are listening. They know the sport is engaging. If people didn't care, they wouldn't be sitting around having talks like these. And it'd just be like, whatever, put in who you're going to put in and we'll watch. But nah, it's a big thing. So I guess they like it like this. And we'll probably never truly get a, publicized standard or publicized criteria for how they come about these choices.
They need it open-ended. It's more wild card when it's open-ended and there is no set criteria. Having a set criteria would make this clear.
Of course it would.
They want to drag these stories into it. They do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. All right. That's good. Anybody have any final thoughts on this topic, most deserving versus best, before we take a call or two?
Nope.
All right, let's go. Y'all know the number. 904-219-8264. 904-219-8264. Matter of fact, I'm going to put the ticker back on, so we'll scroll across the bottom. You see the number. Give us a shout if you have thoughts you want to share on most deserving versus best in college football and in selecting teams. And in case you're wondering, the reason why Notre Dame and Miami, Lucky the Leprechaun and Sebastian the Ibis are on the thumb there, are because they're kind of the focus. Those two programs this year are the focus of this whole argument, most deserving versus best, and how important is head to head and how important is everything else. So that's why I have them on there, because they're kind of the figurehead programs this season of that. Coach T, what's good, my man?
What's good, Bruce?
Doing all right, brother.
Podcast. You were the growth, Bruce.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Shout out to Sneed, got what you need.
What up, Coach T?
Shout out to the greatest of all time, Mr. Ryan Langford.
Yeah, there we go.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And shout out to the $200 million man, Carlos Rio.
There we go.
Goes Tony. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Well, great show, by the way, man. You guys made some fire points, man, that got me over here thinking like.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. Man, this is a fire show. One thing I can think of to probably stop people from crying and complaining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I use the term crying.
All good.
Is just I have no idea how to do it. I'll sit down with Carlos. We'll come up with a plan, but with an idea for your next show. Just have all the ranked teams play each other. Kind of like how, you know how the NBA got the play-in?
Mm-hmm.
Do 2 rounds of play-in, and then have all the top, either the top 10 or top 12 have bye for the first 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else, 13 through 25, play each other, and to see who makes the top 12 playoff like we got now. Just have them do like a play-in. Just have all of them. That way, nobody have any excuses. They'll play, and you're guaranteed to have the best team in the national championship. That's just my idea.
Mm.
Just if you're ranked, just have them battle.
Well, the only problem with that, Coach Tony, is that if we're going to do that, a 13 to
come on, Carlos. Don't give me no pushback, bro.
The only problem would be, the regular season. The regular season would have to be shorter. It would have to be like shorter because, you can have more playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
And the regular season is going to have to be shorter, so.
Yep.
No, cut one game. Cut one game off on the back end. Play-in would be.
I think you could still have like how they have the bowl games.
Mm-hmm.
They can still schedule those bowl games so those cities don't lose money.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of it being like the Peach Bowl, for example, it'll be playoff game.
Yeah, be a play-in.
They can do that.
Yep. For the bowl
yeah,
game.
They can do that. That way, them bowl games don't lose their money, because that's going to be the biggest. That's going to be the biggest pushback. Is okay. Well, what about our bowl games? That we have here every year. Yeah. If you do that, are we going to still have our game? That way, them cities don't lose money.
Coach T, you are forgetting something else, man. you know, some of these schools, their players actually have to go to class, you know. I'm just saying. I mean, maybe not USC and maybe not
Florida, maybe not Florida.
Right. You know, but you got some schools where that's actually a thing. Just keep that in mind too.
Well, do you know what they do in college basketball when they have to
they
travel?
got guys taking exams on the plane with laptops and all that. Yeah.
Exactly.
For sure.
They take
Don't ask Joakim Noah, bro.
They'll figure it out.
Joakim Noah.
But going back to, I think you asked a question earlier about one of the scary teams or a team that you might think that'll be a dark horse that'll just run through everybody and shock everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That could be Texas A&M.
So they're really good. Like incredible third down defense. They really get teams off the field, which I think is a majorly underrated part of defense. I know Snead knows all about that. Ohio State, one of the best in the country at that. When you have an elite third down defense, that makes things a lot easier for you. The only pushback I'll give you on A&M, Coach T, is that
here we go.
At 11-0, no, this is not about Notre Dame because they came to our house and beat Notre Dame. So I've always given them credit all year for that. I have nothing bad to say about A&M. The only slight pushback I'll give is that at 11-0 and one of the best teams in the country, number 3 now, they haven't played any of the top 5 teams in their own conference. That's my only pushback. So we haven't, other than Notre Dame in week 2, have we really seen them get tested? That's my only question.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, that's it.
No, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
But you never know. All it takes is one team to get
for sure.
Get hot. It could be Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
It could be Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
They had some strong wins this year.
Yes, they did.
So, or it could be one of those at-large teams that'll just surprise everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no question.
But we all know they got to go through Ohio State.
Yeah. Tough
unless some really retarded happens where the kids do something stupid and they have to sit out half of their defense, or somebody, somebody decides they're getting a job somewhere, like in the NFL, and they miss one of the bowls, one of the key playoff games, or something like that, like we've seen in the past. That's the only thing that I see Ohio State not making it to national championship. But
right.
I think 1 and 2 is going to. I don't think Ohio State and Indiana are going to finish 1 and 2. Reason being is they're in the Big Ten, and you guys touched on that. They're going to end up playing each other in the Big Ten championship.
Correct.
So one of them is going to drop. I don't think it's going to be far. I think they'll still be in the top 4, unless it's a massacre.
Yeah, I don't see that though.
Like you think regardless of the outcome of the Big Ten championship, they'll still be 1 and 2?
No. I was saying I don't see a massacre. Pardon me. That's what I was saying. I don't see a massacre.
I'm saying the only way they'll drop out of the top 4 unless it's just a massacre, and they're like, oh, they're not as good as we thought they were.
Yeah, no, I don't see that.
But Texas Tech and Tulane right now. Tulane is there. Yeah. Sorry, Tulane.
Don't sleep. Don't sleep.
I'm not sleeping on Texas Tech.
Got you.
Notre Dame, Oklahoma. That's going to be a very good matchup.
Yeah, but Notre Dame's going to beat them. Oklahoma doesn't have enough offense for that game. I really don't believe that.
I know you were going to say that because you were Notre Dame.
Well, no. I really try to be objective when it comes to the Irish. I know it doesn't seem that way, but I really do. And I just think they're a more complete team than we've seen from them even last year when they made the run. Now, this year's field is tougher, but they're a better team than last year. Go ahead, Coach T.
Yeah, see this. You don't feel like OU's defense can contain that Notre Dame running game?
I don't know if anybody can. I would say Ohio State is probably the only one I would be concerned about out of all these teams. But OU's defense is vicious. Don't get me wrong. They are. But I think and here's the thing though. Here's the problem. Notre Dame's passing game is good enough now that you cannot stack the box. Now you can try to control the run, but you can't stack it like you could in years past because CJ Carr can now beat you over the top and he's got weapons to do it. So I think, but this is not a Notre Dame propaganda show. That wasn't my point there.
If I'm facing Notre Dame, my number one option is to not let Jeremiah Love have a Heisman performance.
Right.
I want to hold him to if he gets 50 to 60 yards, 70 yards on 17 carries, you did your job. You want Carr to beat you.
Yeah, but it's not just it's not just Jeremiah Love either though.
But if Carr beats you, you gonna live with it.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
You can't live with them getting 300 plus yards on the ground. You have no chance.
The chances are he's the best player on the field every week.
Man, he should get the he's the best player on the field.
Yeah, for sure. Coach T, we're gonna let you go and we're gonna move on to this last topic, brother. Thank you for the call, man.
I knew you was gonna do that to me, Bruce, because you're like, oh, he's over here hating on Notre Dame.
No. Listen, Coach T, man, I'm not mad at you. You're a Trojan fan, so I mean that's how we do. I'm not mad at that at all.
Right.
I got one thing to say to Sneed before I go. Hey, Sneed, I got one thing to say to you.
Go ahead.
Shador Sanders.
That's right, bro.
Shador Sanders. As long as the Browns don't brown, Shador Sanders.
No doubt. Appreciate the call, Coach T. Thank you, brother.
All right,
man. Coach T always with the good
legendary, bro. Legendary.
For sure. Wait for it. Legend. Gary. All right, so let's go to the final topic of the night here. This one is going to be cool. And, well, we know what it is. Matter of fact, let's take a look at something real quick. Goes a little something like this. But we have rivalry. We talked about it. Weekend coming up this weekend, and some of the best games in college football are what we are going to see, and this is going to be fantastic. And man, we know what the headliner is. You want to see the headliner, Sneed? You want to see it?
I do.
Here we go. Headliner.
Oh yeah.
Look at Brutus. Brutus on that Ivan Drago right there.
Yo, he ain't been skipping leg day or nothing, bro.
No, he is not skipping leg day. Look at those calves. He got the Manny Pacquiao calves out here.
That's right.
Yes, but no, we have one hell of a matchup. And, Michigan is going to be ready for this. I don't think – so think about this. If you're a senior at Michigan, you've never lost to Ohio State. It's crazy.
Wow.
Nobody wants this year to be the year that it starts.
Right.
And, of course, Ohio State, if you're a senior at Ohio State, you've never beaten Michigan. And now you're saying, nah, we're not going to let it go down like it went down last year. So that is the marquee matchup of this weekend, the Michigan Wolverines, Ohio State Buckeyes, the game, arguably the greatest rivalry in college football, although I will put kind of on a different level. I will put Army-Navy up there. That's a mega one. That's so mega that it stands on its own on December 13th, and Transformer and I got something coming for that for you guys. But Sneed, I'm going to have you start off and give us kind of, before we even get into any game talk or anything, as the resident Buckeye, man, and then we'll hear from Ryan, the resident Big Ten guy. Sneed, for those of us who don't know what it truly means, what does it mean? They call it the game.
Right.
Ohio State people don't even say Michigan. They say the school up north. Like, what does it actually mean? Like, the hatred is real there. It's palpable. Talk to me.
There are people willing to risk their employment, the ability to feed their families, to try to prove a point to show how much they hate Michigan or Ohio State. I actually saw it in front of my eyes. I saw a guy who he had a 6-figure salary This was in like 2003. He made a 6-figure salary, had to prove his point, how much he hated Ohio State, said the wrong thing to the wrong person, and got fired. But that's what that is. Like this is what it is, because it's like a hard drive that gets the installation of some kind of software, hardware. Like it's so like from like 3 years old, 4 years old, your diaper is like the opposite team's logo on it, so you're dropping Dookie in it. You know what I'm saying? Like it starts there, bro. The onesie, you're wearing the onesie for your team.
I heard about that.
So you got pictures of you as a baby wearing the gear. Picture your mom and dad are wearing the gear and they're holding you proud with the football and the logo and the team. So all that's starting from like inception.
Day one.
Yes. So and then they live it and they eat it, breathe.
Yeah.
They sleep and think about it. And then the games happen and the games are big with big moments. So it just adds. So over time, you watch it as a kid, then you watch it as a teenager, then you watch it as a player or a coach or family, and it snowballs into the most intense rivalries.
Yeah.
And there's other rivalries like it, but the thing about this one in particular is these are two teams that have a lot of success. They're historic programs in terms of football, and they have this like the thing that was installed with the original coaches where this comes from. Like they legitimately hated each other.
Right.
So that it permeated through the players.
Right.
And then it permeated through generations.
But that's like the best though, right? Like that's how Lakers and Celtics used to be. And
right.
Yeah, like to have the real animus.
So you don't have rivalries like this in professional sports as much. I mean, sometimes there's a little bit of it.
I know. I don't know. I would have to ask Transformer how serious the Bears and Packers is. I know the Steelers and Ravens is very, very real.
Yeah, Steelers, Browns.
Before I heard, I think it was Hines Ward saying that during Ravens week, one of the ladies that worked in the Steelers front office showed up to work and she happened to have on a purple blouse and they made her go home and change it. Like it's not a game in these things, man.
Bruce, if there were no referees, there would be they wouldn't line up a snap. It would never be a play. It would be fights.
Right. It would be fights. Yeah, for sure. Ryan, as our resident player on the panel, man, tell us, one, you've been around this Big Ten thing. Two, you know how it feels to be physically involved, making plays in and feeling the tension and all of that of these rivalries, man. What's it like? Tell us from your perspective.
Yeah, well, our rivalries, I would say, aren't as strong as what Michigan, Ohio State was. Like I said, when we played Indiana, that was kind of big for us.
Okay.
But the biggest rivalry I can remember was high school, like us going against Paxton Stanton. Like those are the two academic high schools in this area.
Yep.
Terrible at football, great at academics. So it was like, look, we were the last two schools like going at it. So but there is a lot of pride, there's a lot of passion behind it, and you hate those teams. I mean, there were some times that we didn't like Michigan. They weren't our rivals, but it was, hey, we're playing Michigan this week. We're not saying their name. They got T-shirts that say curse words, mixing the letters around. So like that's just the tradition of college football, and I think that is why I, as a kid, and why kids grew up wanting to play college football, because of the history behind it. Knowing, like you said, coming out with having that onesie on, if you're able to be that player playing for their hometown state, say you're from up there and you play for Michigan or you play for Ohio State, like that's got to be way more passionate, being from those areas. But there's nothing like competition, nothing like history, nothing like competing, especially when there's a lot of people riding and pulling for you.
No doubt. Carlos, man, what do you get just from that? Much like myself, that spectator vantage point. Like, is it something that you can kind of feel because you're, being younger than the rest of us? I'll say this: there's still vitriol in rivalries, but it's not like when we were younger. When we were younger, and all these sports were more physical and legitimately more violent. So like you could really take out your hatred on the opposition. Ryan knows what I'm talking about. Like really lower the boom on guys and get away with some stuff that we would now see as egregious on the field. It's not, even though, like I said, the vitriol is still there, it's not the same as it was when we were younger. So what are your thoughts on it? Kind of what are the feelings that you get when you watch these games, whether it's Florida, Florida State, or Florida State, Miami, Michigan, Ohio State? Where are you on that?
Definitely, Rivalry Weekend, it's probably the greatest weekend in college sports. Definitely, the excitement, the history, the tradition, definitely, very exciting. Our rival is Florida State. I would say we hate Miami more than Florida because, we're trying to beat Miami, every year. And obviously, me and my brother, my brother's a Miami fan. So
Wow.
Yeah. So you already know how that goes. And
Yeah.
the month of October, But yeah, man. Florida State, Florida. Florida State, Florida is another good rivalry here down, in Sunshine State.
Mhm.
I obviously, the hype's not there. Obviously because we're both doing bad right now. But it's still rivalry. Still rivalry. Still rivalry. But yeah, but definitely that Ohio State Michigan game. That game's gonna be must watch at noon. Man, it and I think I saw on social media that at Ohio State they crossed out every M all across campus. Every
Wow.
M, yeah, every M. Yeah. No matter how high it is, the signs are. No matter if it's on the floor, they cross it out.
I saw
Cross out
that
the M.
McDonald's. They cross out the M at the
Yeah.
McDonald's.
Yeah,
All kinds of stuff.
Every
M
M
on the
is
men's bathroom, everything, all type of stuff.
it's insane. But hey, that game, that game's gonna have some major implications for the playoff for sure.
Sure. It's awesome. And you know what I think? What I really love about it, because of Fox's setup now with big noon kickoff, is that we don't have to wait all day to get that game, even though it's probably going to be the best game of the day. We get that at noon.
Yeah.
We get to sit down and really lock in and enjoy that, and then go on to the other games afterwards. So I think that's a beautiful thing. We don't have to wait all day, and it's good. Carlos, what are some of the other rivalry bowl games that you're looking forward to this weekend?
All right, so I'm gonna start with Friday. The Egg Bowl at noon. That there's tradition there. There's history with the Egg Bowl. Clean old fashioned hate. Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech number 23 taking on number 4 Georgia.
Yeah,
I think that's the game for 3:30 on Black Friday, and then obviously the primetime game A&M in Texas. The hype last year was amazing. I want to see what happens this year. A&M Texas, Arizona State. I feel like the hype now is is high now because Arizona is ranked. It's a top 25 matchup. It's a rivalry over there in Arizona. That's at 9 p.m.
Arizona State is ranked.
Yeah, Arizona State. Yeah, Arizona State is ranked too. So and I think that creates some hype there in the state of Arizona. Oregon, Washington. Oregon got to go to Seattle in a rivalry game. That's gonna be dangerous for Oregon. Oregon got to go to Seattle for a rivalry game. That's gonna be crazy. Kentucky, Louisville. I believe that's a rivalry over there in Kentucky. Palmetto Bowl, Clemson, South Carolina. Let's see here. Vandy, Tennessee.
That's a big one.
I got that on mine too.
Yeah.
Paul Bunyan's Axe, Wisconsin, Minnesota. And I heard that was a good one.
That game used to mean a lot more when Wisconsin was Wisconsin, but they need to figure that out. But unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but Wisconsin will be keeping Luke Fickell. I don't know what they're doing. I guess they just don't want to pay whatever the buyout is, but they need to fix that ASAP. But go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Oregon State, Washington State, Pac-12 matchup. How about that? Conference matchup. Oregon State, Washington State on the CW. Virginia, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech over there in the state of Virginia. Iron Bowl in primetime Saturday night. Alabama got to go to Auburn. We all saw what happened in 2023. The Hail Mary, the 4th and a mile. That kind of eliminated my Seminoles because if Alabama would have lost, we would have been in the playoff because Alabama would have 2 losses. And in the history of the playoff, there was never a 2-loss team. So Alabama, they won that. But I guess we'll see what happens this year. Auburn, they're 5-6. I'm pretty sure Auburn's gonna have something, to play for if they win this game. Could play for a bowl game and spoil Alabama's chances in a rivalry game. So I think that's something to look out for. UCLA, USC. I'm pretty sure Coach Tony's gonna like that one.
I don't know why.
UCLA, the battle.
You know what? Maybe USC can actually beat somebody. Okay, go ahead.
Maybe. Ryan, for you, Illinois Northwestern. That game's gonna be at 7:30 on Fox. North Carolina taking on NC State, in-state showdown over there. That game kind of has some implications for the higher up teams, like for the teams like Miami, Virginia. They kind of have to rely on this game, to make the ACC championship game. So that's gonna be a really important game to watch over there in the ACC, because teams like up there got to rely on that game. Bruce, Notre Dame, Stanford. It's kind of a rivalry, right? Or no?
Yeah, well, every game with Notre Dame is kind of a rivalry almost. But real quick, funny story about Notre Dame, Stanford, right? So not last year, 3 years ago, I went to Notre Dame for the first time. And it was a night game against Stanford. And it was the final time David Shaw was going to coach Stanford against Notre Dame. I go up there. I'm excited. I have a great freaking day. I walk around. I see all this stuff. I freaking bump into Ed Orgeron on campus that morning. Took a picture with him. Coach O, he was cool as hell. Did all the stuff. First time Notre Dame tourist. Fantastic day. And freaking Stanford upsets Notre Dame that night and ruins my very first trip to South Bend. I will never forgive David Shaw for that. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him as an offensive mind and as a coach for what he was able to do with freaking Stanford all those years, but I'll never forgive him for that. And if I ever meet him, I'm going to tell him that. So yeah, that's my Notre Dame Stanford story.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the slate for, for the rivalry games, from
nice.
Black Friday to Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some good stuff. Thank you for that rundown, Carlos. So I guess we will leave it right there. I'm going to open up the phone line one last time, take a couple of calls, one or two of those, and then we will go ahead and let you guys get out of here. So number is scrolling on the bottom, 904-219-8264, 904-219-8264. Coach T says, when is Notre Dame going to play somebody? Well, we did that earlier this season, and we monkey stomped and ran all over the USC Trojans. So I guess we don't need to play anyone else for the rest of the year. There we go.
What do you think about this, Bruce?
Yes.
Of all the rivalry games this week, which rivalry game has the underdog most capable of pulling off the upset?
That has to be Ohio State, Michigan. Yeah. Because Michigan has a much better player at the quarterback position than they had last year. So to think they still pulled that off last year. Now, I wouldn't pick them outright. Don't get me wrong. But Bryce Underwood is the real deal. I think they've got a young freshman wide receiver at Michigan. I cannot remember his name, but he's coming into his own. Michigan is always going to play defense, and we'll see what Wink Martindale can throw at young Julian Sand to try and, trip him up and confuse him, because, Matt Patricia is going to – he's going to have Bryce Underwood like, what the hell am I looking at here, But I'll say the plus is with Wink Martindale being an NFL defensive coordinator, he's going to be able, I think, to probably mimic some of what Matt Patricia's doing schematically in practice and help Bryce Underwood to hopefully be able to see and diagnose and, maybe help the offensive side of the football scheme up some things to get around that. So maybe you don't have quite the dominance of the defense this week that you've had throughout the season. It'll still be a very good defense, but I think Wink Martindale should have Bryce Underwood coached up really well in terms of what he's going to be seeing. So that's my thought. And he may be able to throw some things at Julian saying that he's not seeing. We know Wink Martindale is a very heavy blitz pressure guy. So we'll see. But you're dealing with Ohio State. You got to be very careful, because if you don't get home, they're going to burn you.
You're going to get hurt. There
you go. So it's, oh, man, I'm getting excited just thinking about the X's and O's here, man. This is woo. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, guys. Looks like we're not going to get any calls on this. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to call it a night on this one. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching on the replay, please make sure you like, subscribe, share the video, and also hype the video. All that stuff helps us grow, helps the channel grow. And we know that if you're watching this, you have other people in your life that you talk sports with. Please share the channel with them. And we will be back, tomorrow night? We should be back tomorrow night, inshallah, for our 4-topic Wednesday night show, which is going to include NFL pick'ems, etc. So we will see you then, and we out. Peace. Thanks, fellas.
Adios.